Welcome to the Tech Life Well podcast. We're delighted to have you with us.
Where we make technology simple, thoughtful, and useful. For more insights and episodes, visit techlifewell.com.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're drilling down into the mechanism of influence itself, structured narrative. We're looking at a pretty powerful method, the storytelling for influence framework from Will Storr, and how you can use that structure to build, well, really compelling business narratives.
Yeah, narratives that actually get you buy-in.
Exactly. Whether you're talking to investors, customers, your own team, anyone.
And our mission today is super practical. We're unpacking a prompt pack that's designed to show you how to use conversational AI, your ChatGPTs, your Claudes, to apply these frameworks.
So not just the theory, but how to do it fast.
Right. We're focused on how these classic story structures align with human psychology to make your ideas stick, to make them influential.
So by the time we're done here, you'll have a really clear picture of the components you need to craft that persuasive story. The goal isn't just a nice presentation, right?
Not at all. It's about crafting something so focused, so well-structured, that it kind of forces influence. It sells your idea for you.
Okay, so where do we start? What's the first piece of the puzzle?
We have to start with the foundation, the thing that holds the entire story together. Before you write a single word, you have to have your guiding idea.
Walk us through what that means. It sounds simple, but I have a feeling it's where most people go wrong.
It is simple, but it's incredibly hard to do well. The guiding idea. It's not your topic. It's not a list of features. It's the one main takeaway.
Just one?
The single one-sentence idea the audience must walk away with. If you can't boil it all down to that one core message, the whole structure it collapses. No matter how clever you are, it's your North Star.
Got it. So once you've locked in that guiding idea, that singular goal, then you bring in the characters.
Exactly. And this is where the business application of these old story archetypes gets really interesting.
The sources mention 3 key figures, but with a twist for this kind of influential storytelling.
A very purposeful twist.
So first, there's the hero. In any normal story, that's the main character, right? The one we follow.
Right. But here's the crucial shift. In this framework, the hero is almost always your audience.
The customer, the employee, the person you're pitching to.
That's it. They're the ones who have the problem. They're the ones who need to be transformed.
Why is that shift so important?
Because it immediately gets past their ego. It lowers resistance. I mean, think about it. If you make your product the hero, you're just bragging.
And nobody wants to listen to that.
Nobody. But if you make them the hero, you're focused on their journey, their transformation. Your solution suddenly feels urgent and personal to them.
Let's make that concrete. So if we're selling, say, new risk management software, the hero isn't our amazing software.
No.
The hero is the chief risk officer who's completely buried in compliance paperwork.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Which leads right into the shadow. This is the adversary, the thing stopping the hero.
And in business, that could be a competitor or some new regulation.
It could be. Those are external shadows.
Yes.
But the source material points out that the most powerful shadow is often internal.
Internal, like...
Things like organizational inertia, fear of change, skepticism, complexity.
So for our risk officer, the shadow isn't just the regulation. It's her fear that if she signs off on this new, unproven system and it fails, her career is on the line.
Exactly. That's a much more powerful, more relatable shadow. It really defines the stakes.
Okay, so we have the hero and the shadow. What's the third archetype?
The third is the light figure. This is the mentor, the guide, the one who gives the hero the wisdom or the tool they need to win.
And this is where we come in. The speaker, the product, the service.
That's where we come in. We are the light figure. But what's fascinating is that the role is secondary. The light figure gives the hero the magic sword.
But the hero still has to swing it.
The hero has to swing it. This lets you position your offering as the indispensable guide they need to succeed without taking the spotlight off of them.
But isn't there a risk there? If you position yourself as the indispensable guide, the light figure, couldn't you come across as, I don't know, a bit condescending?
That is a great point and a really common mistake. The source material is clear that the light figure has to be empathetic. You don't dictate, you illuminate.
So you share wisdom, not orders.
Exactly. You're credible because you've seen this before, or you have the unique insight they lack, but the focus has to stay on the hero's potential. If you sound like a guru, you've already lost them.
That's a key distinction. Okay, so we have the guiding idea, we have the cast centered on the audience as hero, now we need the blueprint. Let's talk about the 4S principles.
These are basically your quality control checklist. They ensure the story is focused, clear, and actually engaging. If you break one of these, you risk losing your audience no matter how great your product is.
Okay, let's start with the first S, solo. We kind of touched on this with the guiding idea. Why is that single focus so important?
Because clutter is the absolute enemy of persuasion. The brain just shuts down when it's faced with too much complexity, especially for a business decision. If you throw 5 different selling points at your audience, they'll remember.
Yeah.
None of them. Solo means every single thing in your story, every anecdote, every stat serves that one guiding idea. If it doesn't, you cut it.
Be a laser, not a floodlight.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Okay, second S, sapient. The story needs well-developed characters. How do you make a chief risk officer or a piece of software sapient in a business story?
Sapient really just means relatable.
Yeah.
For the hero, your audience, it means you have to define their values, their fears, what's at stake for them. What do they lose if the shadow wins?
And for the light figure, the product.
It needs a personality. Is it trustworthy? Is it innovative? Radically simple. Those traits have to come through in the story so the audience feels like they're rooting for real things, not just abstract concepts.
Okay, next up, simple. This feels obvious, but it's probably the hardest one.
It is. Simple is all about clarity. It means no jargon, no acronyms, no overly complex sentences that make the audience have to stop and think.
You want to remove all the friction from the message.
All of it. If they have to decode your language, they're not feeling the emotion of your story. The message has to be a straight line from you to them.
And the fourth S is sensory. This one seems tricky for business. I mean, it's easy to describe a forest, but how do you describe a financial model with sensory details?
Yeah, this is where B2B marketers often struggle, but it's so important because sensory details make the story felt, not just heard.
So what does that look like?
You can't describe the colors of a spreadsheet, no, but you can describe the feeling of the friction it causes, the grinding halt of an operation, the sharp pain of a surprise failure, the deep relief when a process takes 5 seconds instead of 5 hours.
So you're using emotional, visceral language to describe the before and after.
Exactly. You have to engage their nervous system, make it feel real.
So the 4S principles are our quality check, but how do we organize all this into an actual emotional journey? That brings us to the 3 acts.
Right. And if you connect all this together, the whole arc is structured in 3 acts. It mirrors the classic hero's journey, which is, I mean, it's not an accident. Our brains are hardwired to process information this way.
Threat, resolution, and mastery.
Pretty much. And in business, this maps directly to a very specific progression. Broken, struggle, fixed.
Let's break that down. Act Y, broken. This is the setup.
It's the setup, but more than that, it's the definition of the stakes. Your hero, your audience, is in a broken state. This act has to define their shadow, that urgent problem, and describe their current reality in vivid sensory detail.
They have to see themselves in that broken world.
Immediately. If your audience doesn't truly feel the pain of the broken state, they will have zero motivation to change.
The mistake a lot of people make is rushing through the problem. They spend 30 seconds on the pain and then jump to the solution.
Exactly. And the audience doesn't believe the solution is worth it. Which brings us to Act 2, struggle. This is where the hero really grapples with the problem. They try old ways, they fail. And this is where the light figure, your solution, makes its entrance.
So the struggle is where you show the how. It's the transformation process.
Yes. It's not just saying, and then we used AI to solve it. It's showing the hero tried the old system, and it failed because of X. Then they found our tool, which helped them overcome Y and Z.
And that leads to the payoff. Act 3, fixed.
The fixed state. The hero beats their shadow, using the tool you provided, and they create a better world. The story ends by showing the huge difference between the broken world of Act 1 and the successful, fixed world of Act 3.
So the whole framework is basically engineered to take your audience on a journey, from identifying their pain to adopting your solution as their guide to finally achieving the outcome they wanted all along.
It's a formula for action. And the great part is once you get the structure, you can actually use conversational AI to build it much, much faster.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical. The source material lays out a step-by-step process for using LLMs to build these narratives. And it's not just asking a bot to write a story.
No, it's strategic. It's about using the AI to enforce structural quality. But you can't just throw a vague request at it. You have to do 2 things first to ground the AI.
Okay, step 4.
Give context on the company. You have to feed it specifics. Your role, your industry, your revenue. Is it a $10,000 problem or a $10 million problem? It matters.
Because the stakes of the story change.
Completely. You also tell it your product type, your target market, your goals, your unique selling proposition, all of it.
Without that grounding, you just get generic mush.
You get generic mush. It fails the sapient and sensory tests immediately.
And step 2.
Give context on the frameworks. You have to teach the LLM the rules of the game you're playing.
So you explicitly define the 4S principles, the hero, shadow, light model, the 3 acts.
Broken, struggle, fixed. Exactly. Once the AI knows your business reality and the narrative theory, then you can start prompting it strategically.
And that workflow is pretty clear. First, you get it to brainstorm story ideas based on your audience's pain.
Then you force it to define the guiding idea, that single sentence.
Third, you map out the characters. Who's the hero? What's the shadow? How does the light figure help?
Then you get an outline of the 3-act structure. And only after all that, you ask it to generate a first draft of the actual narrative.
But the source material's smartest tip wasn't just the checklist. It was about how to talk to the AI.
Right. Don't treat it like a vending machine. It's a collaborator.
A strategic partner. So you ask it to explain its thinking step by step. Why did you choose that shadow?
And you have a real back and forth. You challenge its choices, you workshop ideas, you refine the guiding idea with it before you ever commit to a full draft.
It's that iterative process that makes the difference. Using the AI as a structural editor, not just a writer.
That's what separates a generic script from a truly influential narrative.
So what does this all mean? We've seen that powerful influence isn't magic. It's about rigidly aligning a business goal with this ancient, psychologically proven story structure, all centered on one single idea.
But the job isn't done with that first draft. The source material suggests more prompts for refinement, for quality control, which brings up a really important question. After all this work, how do you make sure the story stays on message, stays perfectly solo?
Because that perfect focus is everything. The source suggests a specific task after you have a draft. Ask the LLM for feedback. Ask it to find any moments, any details that seem disconnected from your central guiding idea.
And that's a key request, because sometimes when you're trying to make a section really sensory or sapient, you can add a detail that's interesting, but it actually pulls the focus away from your core message.
A cool detail that's ultimately a distraction.
It's a distraction, not a benefit.
So it leaves you with a question to ask yourself about your own business narrative. What subtle disconnects might be hiding in there? Maybe too much focus on your own product's features, or a problem that's not the main one. And just how critical is that singular focus to actually influencing anyone? The sources suggest starting this refinement process early. Generate multiple potential guiding ideas before you even think about acti.
Make sure you have the absolute best one, the perfect solo idea.
But if that foundation is even a little bit off,
the whole thing falls apart. Focus is influence.
we'll catch you on the next deep dive.